Everyone, I'm back with video number 114 of 365. You think by now that I would remember to, have a mic on, but I just filmed pretty much a whole video without the mic on. So here we are again, part two, take two. Anyway, this is 114 of 365. I'm Samantha. Thank you for being with me through this journey of learning all the tech and everything that I tend to forget sometimes. And so, I'm doing a video every day for a year to get over my fear of public speaking and social anxiety. So I hope that by the end of this video, we can elevate your self-concept and get you feeling a little bit better about yourself. That's my goal with this particular video. So in order to start to feel better about ourselves, we've got to change our self-concept. And your self-concept is your self-image. It's how you see yourself. It's how you see yourself in relation to money, relationships, other people, things, your job, everything. We have a self-concept in relation to everything in our lives. And so I just start with changing the self. Neville Goddard says there's no one else or nothing to change but self. So if you change yourself from the inside, then the external world, your 3D, your 3D reality will reflect that. And it will reflect the changes you made, and you'll notice that when you practice this, you can kind of test it out and you'll see that some things will change. And they change out of nowhere. It's crazy. They're, as Esther Hicks says, they change out of the, not out of the blue, but out of the oblivious, because we're kind of oblivious to our power. And so remember how powerful you really are. We're imagining things 24/7, and we are affirming things 24/7 in our minds. So my best suggestion is always to notice, okay, what am I affirming inside my mind right now? What have I been affirming? Which means, what have I been thinking? And so what you're thinking over and over becomes a belief. And so if you're affirming something over and over, that means you're thinking that thing over and over, which means you believe the things that you're affirming. So if you will start affirming, just kind of for fun, something else that feels better to you than the self-deprecating thoughts that we sometimes have about ourselves, that we have a lot of the time. And you'll notice that when you're feeling off or feeling down, you've probably been thinking some thoughts that brought you down. So you just kind of get curious and ask yourself, what's going on? What do I need right now? Do I need a nap? Do I need some water? Do I need a hug? Do I need a snack? Do I need something that, do I need to get up and walk around? Am I restless right now? Something. Your body might need to move or shake or something to let that energy out. And so it's just about being aware of how you're feeling during the day, because your mental state is creating and manifesting everything around you. And so we want to be very aware of our mental state. That is where our power lies. And so you can create a mental state. I mean, you're creating mental states all day long. It's just now we're going to do it deliberately. And so the first step is to be aware of what your focus is on and how you're feeling. And so when you notice you're feeling down, you are in your old identity. Let's call it that. Like you're in your old self when you're starting to feel down. And so you got to remember that when you're in your old self and you're feeling down, it's like, okay, I want to feel better. So I'm going to train my mind to go right instead of left. I'm going to go over here to the new self. And so what would the new self be thinking, feeling, behaving like? How would they carry themselves versus how I'm carrying myself right now? What might they be thinking about that I'm not thinking about? Or what am I thinking about that the new self might not be thinking about? Because it's maybe harmful to think about it, or unhelpful, or not serving you to think that. So you've got to kind of be curious about what you're thinking, because everything that you're thinking is creating a frequency. And so if you look at yourself like you're a signal that's being sent out to the universe, and it's saying, from this mental state, I am creating this. And the universe is like, that's not a good mental state to create that from. We need you to shift. And it really doesn't say that to you, but I'm saying that to you so you can remember that it's time to shift. You can't stay in that same mindset and create the new you. You've got to decide who you want to be, and then look at who you're being on a daily basis. Like, who are you being? And what are you expecting? Because whatever you expect, you're going to get that too. So we've got to shift. At some point, you have to break that addiction to your old self and break that addiction to the old thoughts and the old beliefs, and also break the addiction to not thinking that you're limitless and not thinking that you're capable of becoming the person that you want to become and have whatever you want to have. So if you just look at yourself at like your thoughts as a frequency that's emitting from you, it's sending out this signal that's saying, this is who I'm being right now. This is who I'm identifying as. So this is what I'm going to start attracting to me and start materializing in from this frequency. If you think of thoughts as frequency, maybe that might help shift something. I also look at it like, we're the director and the star of our movie that we're living in. So you get to direct it any way you want, and you're the star. So you're the complete star of the entire movie, the entire show, the entire play, the entire game. You're the star. So what are you going to decide to be? And how are you going to be? How are you going to act? What are you going to think? How are you thinking now that you might need to let go of, that your new you isn't going to think anymore? And I've given this example many times in my videos where I decided, I was like, okay, if I want to do YouTube, I can no longer be fearful of YouTube. I can no longer be fearful of the camera. I have to let that go. And so I did that. I just decided that that's who I was going to be. And I declared publicly, I'm doing a video every day for a year, and people didn't believe me. People totally didn't believe me. I still have people that don't believe me, even when I'm this much in. They're like, oh, you're doing like a reel every day or something? I'm like, no, a video, like a full video. And they're like, oh, like a short or something? I'm like, no, like a 10-minute to 30-minute rant maybe, depending on the day. And they're like, whoa, they don't believe it. It's crazy. And so you have to radically shift yourself to become this person that you're trying to be. And I also, another big thing I did was I no longer hit the snooze button on my phone. That was something I used to do pretty regularly. At least like once or twice I'd hit it and then I'd get up, no problem. I'm an early riser, but this time around I was like, okay, if you want to become this CEO of your company, if you want to do this do bigger than you're doing, you've got to stop hitting the snooze button. And the only way I could do that was to put my phone in the bathroom overnight and get an alarm clock, like a real for real alarm clock. And I put it way far away from my head. So I have to get out of bed. And I wake up to bird noises. It's not like an annoying, alarm sound. So you got to find your own way of doing things and make your decision and you have to line up your non-negotiable actions that you're going to be doing. Like, how would that person be? You cannot expect to just change a couple habits and keep doing other habits. You can't be 80% in. You got to be all in 100%. And you got to decide that, yeah, this is who I'm going to be, because that old self has to die before the new self can rise up. And so you can become that person. So the other thing that I always recommend is to start thinking about, okay, how do I feel about myself? Who am I? A lot of people will say, I'm a mother, I'm a father, I'm a friend, I'm a wife, I'm a husband, all these roles that we take on. But what's underneath that? Who are you as a person? And really, really think about that. Who am I? What do I like? What is fun for me? What lights me up? What gets me excited? That's one of the questions I really want you to ask yourself is, what gets you excited and what lights you up? Like what makes you feel passion, excitement, and what lights you up? Those to me are the most important things, because all of those things lead to happiness, which everybody I've ever talked to, they're like, my goal is to be happy. And I'm like, that is great. But what does that mean? What does happy mean? And how do you know you're not happy now? And what do you think happiness feels like? And then how do you maintain that? Because you have to maintain this state, this baseline state. Now, we are human. We are going to have a plethora of feelings. I understand this. I'm not a complete Pollyanna. I'm a pretty big Pollyanna most of the time. But I understand we're human. I'm a therapist. I mean, good Lord, I hear everything. And so, but I have always been one that I want to find solutions to the problem quickly so that we can get you feeling better as quickly as possible. Why be down when we can choose to be up? And we get to choose that. And sometimes we choose to be down for maybe longer than we needed to. Maybe sometimes we feel that it's relevant to be down for a while. But if you're a person who is wanting to radically shift and transform your life, these are some of the ways to get there. It's just, you've got to kind of be aware and curious about, why do I think these thoughts? Where do these thoughts come from even? Were they programmed into me by somebody else? Probably. The answer is yes to that. And what if you think that everything you've ever thought is a lie? What if you just started a clean slate tomorrow and you started just looking at the world with curiosity and wonder instead of with these old programmed opinions, even though there's evidence to them? Think about creating some new evidence for yourself. See if that works. See if that feels any different than it felt yesterday when you thought those other thoughts. Just really do some check-ins with yourself. Check in with your body. Where are you feeling stress in your body? Are you holding in tension in your muscles? You know, I always tell people to drop their shoulders. You know, we tend to keep our shoulders all the way up here. We got to drop our shoulders and relax. Make sure you're breathing enough. And just make sure that you're checking in with yourself in general throughout the day. Because a lot of times we're stressed chronically. And so we're so used to being stressed and thinking those old thoughts that we don't even realize we're doing it. So it's just, a lot of this is self-awareness, to change the self and to master the self and master the mind. We've got to know who we are. And what we are is a limitless being. That is who we are. It's just been covered up by the negativity of the world. Because everywhere you look, there's despair. So we either identify with despair or we don't. And you got to go all in. You've got to decide 100%. Like I said, you can't decide 90%, 95%. No, you deserve to be 100% happy, 100% excited about your life. You can create anything you want from that kind of state. And you can do any of these techniques. All techniques work. They're like the placebo effect. All techniques work for whoever tries them. It's just whatever you identify with the most. The point is to get your energy in this mental state to where you are aligned, to allow things to come in for you. So it's just creating a mental state. That's all that it is. And our imagination is so powerful, because if you look at the patterns in your life, you'll notice that 90% of the thoughts we think yesterday, we're thinking today. So of course, our life is going to feel like it's just on one continuous, kind of the same day after day, like Groundhog Day. And so we have to be really aware of these patterns and the fact that we're choosing thoughts that are creating these patterns. It's a choice every day. Once you've identified it as a habit, well, now it's actually a choice, because you've identified it as a habit and pattern. So it's really a choice now, if you think about it that way. And you have control. You have control over those choices. You can choose at any moment to do something different. So I will stop rambling. I know I'm rambling. I can feel it in my bones. I'm going to stop. And I'll be back tomorrow. And I hope you guys feel just a little bit better. You're amazing. You're awesome. You deserve everything. You are everything. And because you're everything, you need nothing outside of you to feel better. You just need to change that mental state. You got to go inside, spend some time with yourself, look in the mirror, tell yourself, I love you. Anything you can do to start feeling just a little tiny bit better. You're amazing, and I'm here for you. I hope this makes you feel just a little 1% better. And if it did, let me know below. Comment, like, share if you feel like this helped you in some way and it might help somebody else. Just share it with somebody. Please subscribe if you'd like to. You don't have to, but please do if you'd like to. I'd love to have you around. And I'll be back tomorrow. Thank you for watching, and have a great evening and a wonderful day tomorrow. You're awesome, and I love you guys, and I'll see you later. Bye.